Let's meditate. After a busy day, I'm now resting. Just a while ago, I was still cutting some tree branches. I had two meetings, one on the Zoom and the other with neighbors. And then I had lots of work to do with AI. I'm so glad that I'm here peaceful. Nothing major happened. It was interesting in a way. Every now and then I stretch out, and perhaps these days I've been like that. I often talk that meditation is like my eternal home, going out and then come back, connecting to the root, and appreciating life. In a way, I like using the brain, but not too much. Daisetsu Suzuki said about myokonin from Shin Buddhism with Nembutsu Namu Amida Butsu. He said, they're just wonderful, but he implied that why not to use more brain or something of that nature. But I think everybody's different, so it's okay, in my view. Especially myokonin is so genuine in the sense of whatever they do. I think not using mind or the brain. Maybe that's exaggeration because, of course, they use the brain and they can share lots of wonderful things. And that stays with me. I wish I can give some example. They're just selfless to help others, and especially for living beings. That's major character. like a story of a guy, Miyokoni, found that someone is stealing from his rice paddies or some such thing, maybe vegetable or whatever. And he called the guy saying that, hey, we have much better place to pick up those fruits or rice or whatever. Just that story would tell what a selfless and yet happy person to be like that. That's incredible. I feel like I'm using my brain too much, in a way. But one of the meeting I had, the Zoom meeting, was about my background, how I developed the video, and my life, how I moved from Japan to the US, all these stories. And I was talking about it's not just the technique that is important, it's the heart, the spirit. This is related to my videos about waste elimination. I call the waste elimination is corresponding to appreciation of life, utilizing our potential. That's what it is. There are various ways to do that, but my first book is about this waste elimination and appreciating the people's talent, like suggestions, or just doing the job, following the procedure. And coming up with ideas to improve. That's like a origin of who we are. From ancient times, people try to come up with creative idea to live better. And I see that it's the same spirit that may be living in us to offer what some creative ideas to implement for the life of us to be better, even tiny bit. Starting with like housekeeping and organization, just the basic stuff. And in this video, I was talking that the technique is okay, but you need to know what's behind to use the technique. And not treat people like a machine or tool. Or for oneself to come up with the idea for him to improve, creative, to do things. I know money is important in many cases, I think the learning of ability to be creative, or wisdom even, to help ourselves and others, that's a very honorable thing by itself. Maybe I'm just dreaming when I say that, but I'm serious. In my case, I have fun to come up with ideas, not just in the company setting, but in my life. And new idea comes up, I laugh at myself, smile. And since I do things not right, or create waste, or become untidy, there's lots of opportunities. So to be able to work is, in a way, in many ways, it's a pleasure if we find that, you know, such a state or process, or create such a process. So in this video, he's the Mexican, and we talked over the Zoom. I think maybe the video will be available sometime. But the heart at the center, the same story I was pointing. Also my movement, moving from Japan and figuring out how to live, writing papers, giving speeches, and little by little, that was one of the most interesting part of my life. Yeah, if we find the joy of being creative and match that in work, which if you like, or even if you don't like, go through it. I was talking about my one moment early in my life. I went to a shrine, and the little fish was on his own by himself in this big vase, and I felt like I was one of them, all shielded and nowhere to go but just alone. I do remember. But I figured out the way out. It took time, but that was an important moment. I say often these days that heaven helps those who help themselves. I like that. In Japanese, mushi means no mind, and you just do things, act with no mind, without expecting reward. You're just focused on the work. If we can do that, that's just wonderful. And I'm saying we can. If there's a will, we'll make it happen. I think the meditation like this may help, but don't expect the benefit. The idea is not for the sake of something you do it, but for the sake of your own keeping the sanity. And hope we all find us being happy. Just sit. It may not make any sense when I say that. Because it may be unusual to think like that. But it is your life, my life. And if you find that the new insight, idea, or wisdom pop up, and you have more energy after a few minutes even of sitting, there may be a big difference without you knowing it. Just breathe in and breathe out. You are alive. Your body is alive. Thank you for joining me. May all beings be happy. Hope to see you again. Good night.